All right, welcome everyone. We'll just give everybody a minute to connect. See a few people coming in. Welcome, welcome. We're excited to get started. All righty. Just give everybody a few more minutes to log in, get their mics all set up. Hopefully you can hear me. If you'd like, you can put in the chat and introduce yourselves. That way we can get to know each other and we can kind of see where everybody's at as far as if you put your organization or profession. Alrighty. Well, we'll go ahead and get started and go over some of the board updates for tonight. So this is our Connect with Your Career career panel. This is put on by Project Management Institute, Western Idaho. We're excited to see everyone today, and we're excited to have a good conversation, ask some great questions, start thinking about what questions you would like to ask. Feel free to put them in the chat. We will be monitoring as we go along, but I'll go ahead and kick us off. So today we'll be doing a few board updates and talking about our upcoming opportunities, and then we'll do our career panel introductions. We'll do formal panel questions, and then we'll open up the floor for Q&A. All right, so I'm going to go and pass it off to Karen, and we'll dive in with some board updates.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. Excited to have you here. This is my first event using Zoom, so I'm really excited that we're on this new platform. So as you can see, we now have almost 800 members in our organization, which is amazing. From the end of June to middle of October, we grew by 71. So these are our new members. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you joining. Next slide. And again, congratulations to everyone who achieved their certifications. And quite a few achieved the PMP, and our very own Kendra, our VP of Programs, got her PMP this past month. So congratulations again to everyone. It's quite an achievement. So these are our anniversaries. Again, just want to thank everyone for sticking with us and being involved in our chapter. So we have 39 members who are celebrating 1 year. And you can see our 5, 10, 15. I've just got to call out the 20+ years. That's amazing. So we really appreciate your membership and in continuing to support this organization. All right. So by the way, I didn't introduce myself. So my name is Karen Hardesty. I am your president for this coming year from July of 24 through June of 25. And one of the things that we do every year as we look to the new year is we as a board meet in July and determine what our strategy will be for the coming year. And so this year we came up with 3 focus areas around member engagement, attracting early career professionals, and then community relationships building through communications. We've been working through this over the last couple of months to trying to determine what our measures will be, and then what our specific strategies will be to to achieve those measurements. And so you can see that on this slide here. I'm not going to read through this, but again, we'll be sharing out the details. And so you're welcome to review those and hope that you will help us achieve these strategic focus areas, that you will become engaged, throughout the year. And if you have ideas, I'd love to hear those as well. So you'll hear more as we work through these strategies over the coming months. You'll see what our measurements are looking like, how we're doing against these strategies and measures. All right, now I'll turn it over to Joe.
Okay. Thanks, Karen. My name is Joe Daly, and after joining the chapter, I was elected to the position of VP of Finance in July 2024. And I just wanted to give back to this good organization. So as you can see on this graph, this is for fiscal year 2024. The chapter invested in a modernization of the website. Prior website was good, and it was made with a WordPress-like process, but we needed a more enterprise-like website to help with communication to the end users and the chapter members. Now the income and the expense items should be easier to identify, which is always helpful for me, and will be aligned with the budget. Economically, as everyone is aware, we had inflation roughly at 7% at its height, which undercut our spending power. And now the income and historically, chapter balances are lower in the fall due to seasonal differences, but the income should increase in first quarter 2025, assuming past experiences are similar to future earnings. So let's talk about product backlog from a financial perspective, or stuff we're working on. Each VP board position is organized like their own department. And for VP board members with the departmental budget, we are determining ways to streamline the budget with the master budget. So we are projecting fiscal year 2025 budget in November to reflect what we hope to accomplish with the charter in the near future. So modest goals for now. As we finish fourth quarter 2024 and move into 2025, I'm expecting the list will grow. So that's all I have for now. Thank you, and I turn over the floor to communications.
So I believe our communications VP is currently not on the call. So I'll just pass it over to Dana to talk about our new website.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm Dana Bullen. I am the VP of Technology. And as you've heard, we're upgrading our website, and it's more of a platform. We had a bunch of different tools, right, that enabled us to do a bunch of different things and have been great, right? And then in moving to this platform, they kind of bring all of that together. And so you're going to start to see features that help benefit you, like login is going to be tied to PMI, right? And so you can log in as a PMI member to our website and have different information available to you as a member. Logins will be tied to kind of membership and event management. The events items will be all in one site, so you won't have to jump out to a Yapsity or follow those. They'll be all available in there. So our goal is just to enable you all to have more content, more events, and do it in an easier fashion for both y'all and the board in a lot of ways. So it is coming November 4th. If you click the page, you'll see kind of a sneak peek at kind of what it looks like. So very, very similar in content and layout, but a lot of different features available for us to use. So we welcome any questions, comments, feedback. I want them all. Let's hear it. So especially as you start to use it, right? Because we can change it up and make sure that it works for you as members. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Dana. So we're Also going to talk about our Professional Development Day update. We've officially chosen our keynote speaker, Scott Wells. He's an international best-selling author and speaker, and also the founder of Outperform the Norm. So he will be leading our Professional Development Day and giving key insights and giving us great information. So something to look forward to. Our Professional Development Day is going to be April 11th, 2025 at Boise State University. Our plans are to have registration open up in February, so look out for those communications as we move forward. And then there are volunteer opportunities right now available. So if you go and check our website and go to our volunteer page, you'll see a couple opportunities available. I think we're looking for a few different things. If I remember correctly, maybe a graphic designer. We also need support in helping select our breakout groups. So each Professional Development Day, we have breakout speakers who present on specific topics that participants can choose and kind of pick their track of what they want to learn that day. And so we're going to be looking for those breakout speakers. And we also have a form that's going out hopefully this week or next week, looking for breakout speakers. So whether you want to participate in helping look for speakers, or if you want to be a speaker, all that information will be on our website, and we look forward to your participation and for Professional Development Day. I would also like to note that the theme for Professional Development Day, and is a theme that you're going to see throughout the year, is our Connect With theme. So as we started today, I said this was our Connect With Your Career, and we'll just keep continuing with that theme throughout the year, and just helping you connect with your project management experience, your network, your career, and just kind of building that connection as we go along this year. I apologize if you can hear my dog in the background. But we have a couple, or I guess one program update. So our volunteer appreciation networking event will be in December. This is a live in-person event. The date and time is still being determined. So just again, look out for communications. We should have more information mid to late November about how you can join and just be a part of that appreciation and getting to know the volunteers who help put everything together throughout the year at PMIWIC. All right. And then we have a couple Connect With the Community opportunities. We have a Rake Up Boise event, November 23rd. So this is a great way to connect with your community with the largest volunteer event in the Treasure Valley. This is a family friends event, so we appreciate if you could bring your family along, help out the community. It will be held Saturday, November 23rd from 9 to approximately noon. Or when all the leaves are bagged. So we added the registration link to this slide, but again, we'll be in our communications, so look for those emails. We'd be happy to see you. You do get, I believe, volunteer PDUs for participating, but at the end of the day, you just get to connect with your community, which we always encourage. And then we also have our Idaho Food Bank event, December 6th. This is a way to connect with the Idaho Food Bank. It is a quarterly volunteer event where we pack food for the local schools in our community. The event is from 3 to 5, and you do earn 2 PDUs for participating. And again, this is a family of friends event. We love getting to have family participate in these volunteer opportunities. And I believe for now that is our last community event. So we'll have for this year. And so we'll have more forthcoming in 2025. And then we have our Connect With other professionals. So there is a couple professional opportunities. This is great for somebody who is looking to get their PMP or is also looking to get their PDUs. So we have our 2025 PMP Bootcamp registration coming up. It is between October 24th and December 31st. This is a great opportunity to connect with other professionals who are pursuing their PMP. It is an in-person exam prep class. The class dates are January 30th and 31st, as well as February 6th and 7th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You must attend all 4 days and to qualify for the exam prerequisite. So it contributes to those 30 hours that you need to have going towards your PMP. And as Karen stated, I just completed my PMP exam. And so I highly recommend the boot camp. It was a super great blessing and a great way to connect with others and have a study group. So I highly recommend joining. And then November 20th and December 11th, we have our Lunch and Learns. So this is a way to connect virtually with our regional experts as they present best practices and knowledge gained through those monthly Lunch and Learns. You get 1 PDU and it's always held at noon. So watch your emails and we'll be announcing the speakers as well as the topics for those events. And lastly, December 11th, we have our membership or member appreciation networking event. And again, more details will come soon with that. Alrighty. So with that, we're going to go ahead and kick off our career panelists. As I said, we would appreciate if you could put your questions in the chat. We'll be facilitating. We'll try to get to those questions towards the end. We have a lot of great questions for our panelists, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know them. So I'll go ahead and introduce our panelists for today. We have Sakina. She is a seasoned project manager with expertise in project management, strategy, change management, and training. Currently, she holds the position of IT project manager at J.R. Simplot Company, with previous employment at Western States Equipment, Ada County Highway District, and Verizon. She also holds a PMP as well as a Six Sigma Green Belt certificate. So we're excited to hear from you. Do you want to say anything before we move on, or?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, sharing and addressing the questions you all have. So thank you. Thanks everyone for joining too.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me put you on the spot right there. All right. And then we have Meg. Meg is our Idaho native and a proud University of Idaho alumni. She is a senior consultant solutions manager for Experis. She partners with organizations all across Idaho, Utah, Montana, and the Dakotas to strategize solutions within IT, engineering, and finance through project-based services. You want to say hi, Meg?
Hi, everybody. Excited for today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then lastly, we have Savannah, and she is the head of operations at Lucro Consulting and founder of Saunders Operations. She is passionate about empowering individuals and businesses. She's also recognized for her ability to build inspiring and collaborative communities. And Savannah has dedicated a career to uplifting others and fostering meaningful connections. Her commitment to empowering women is evident in her work, both professionally and personally. And we'll give it off to her to say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited and honored to be on this panel. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to dig into the questions you've prepared.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. And we'll get to hear more from our speakers as we dive into the questions. Oops, and I am jumping slides. I apologize. So we'll go ahead and get started. So what key steps have you taken to advance your project management career? And what advice would you give to those looking to grow in the field? I don't know who wants to kick that off first.
I'm happy to go. First of all, great job for all the attendees for being here on an evening. You could be anywhere and you've chosen to be here to advance your career. So excellent job. I think you're taking the first step in being here and being engaged and investing in your career. So excellent work. I do recognize some of the folks this I feel at home because this is like this PMI, PMP is my love language. So I'm so excited to be here. I do recognize some folks that are on the attendee list. I'm looking at it on my other monitor here, but I would say, you know, the recommendation I would give to folks is to be open to trying different sectors of the business that you may not have thought you were really good at. If I had to go back, you know, 15 years, I wouldn't think that I would be specifically in IT project management and focused in that area. I was in Verizon for 10 years. I tried tons of different roles within that, going from sales to training to marketing. That's where I found my passion with project management, and then gave it a try to lead an ERP. I think it's that risk of I think I can do this. I know I can figure things out. Having a learner like attitude and curiosity is key. That's what allowed me to be able to go from leading kind of ERP implementations to completely shifting gears and going to Ada County Highway District and doing construction type project management. I think what I would recommend is just try things out, you know, and the mentality I take is I go into a role, I know I can apply a lot of the project management skills, and then I figure out where the gap is, right? So when I went to ACHD, I knew I didn't have the civil engineer background, which I would say, I mean, Seth is on from ACHD here, Seth Jarsky. Majority of the project managers there are civil engineers. So I had to figure out where my gap is and who can help me in that area. But just that would be my advice is what can you do? How can you stretch your the areas where you want to try out in the sectors that you're curious about and not be held back, right? And just try it out and find the people that can help you gain that gap in that skill. So a lot of people might be intimidated to go into IT sector for project management, but you're not doing the wiring and the hard piece. You're the one asking a lot of the questions. You're the one who's moving the project forward. And those are the skills you need to have in project management to succeed in any area, in any sector. So just stretch and grow and find areas where you're passionate about it. I hope that helps.
Perfect.
I'd love to piggyback off of what Sakina shared and really emphasize just that importance of networking. Not only, you know, reaching out to areas where you may have skill gaps, but also individuals and places where you can seek feedback both on your performance or even the project performance is also key. And then also just getting involved in cross-functional projects, you know, that can give you an additional edge even to your own project of maybe something that you may not have experienced or other teams have had come up as roadblocks, just so that you're prepared. But also, you know, taking time to learn from those setbacks. I always like to say it's not a setback, it's an opportunity. It gives you that chance to reflect, recalibrate, you know, just come back stronger. So not to get discouraged and just kind of use that to refuel, to move forward and help lead your team through those steps. So.
Big, do you have anything to share about those who are looking to grow in the field?
No, I think you guys really covered that well.
Alrighty. So how do you stay current with industry trends and changes in project management?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I love Sakina's word earlier, curious. That is something I kind of shine through time and time again, and part of why I love to ask questions. And I always say, I like to poke holes in things just to learn. I say, as far as industry trends, don't wait for the trends to come to you. Go out there and find them, whether it's exploring different hybrid project learning models, or even maybe how AI can impact workflows. Definitely constantly seek that knowledge, ask questions, see what other people are using and learning and experimenting, so that you can be really intentional with how you apply those advances.
I agree. And it's when you have that mentor or those groups that you're connecting with, it's just constantly asking each other, what have you been challenging yourself to learn, thinking about what's out there, and just always, like Savannah said, just looking ahead. You don't want to be the one that's behind on the trends.
Yeah. For me, the biggest recommendation I can give is to continue to come to these. When I was looking, gosh, 2014, when I was looking at getting my PMP, and just studying all things project management just so I can know how to run my projects effectively. I came to these PMI workshops. I put on here like the professional development day. That is amazing. So many incredible people. The lunch and learn is a great opportunity for you to learn and grow. I think it's almost like a therapy session for a lot of the project managers that go there, and we talk to each other and we say, what's going on with your project here? What can I, and connecting with each other and building your network of other peers that you can bounce off ideas with, or just share horror stories. I don't know. I also think it's really important for folks to follow others on LinkedIn that are project managers, or people that you find that are successful in project management. There's quite a few I follow on LinkedIn, and they post things that are pretty exciting, or something I never would have considered. So that was one. Always looking on YouTube, just search. There's so many great ideas on YouTube. And if I may, my favorite thing that I always share for folks who are interested in industry trends and just learning more on project management in general is, if you reside in Boise, to use your library card to access a ton of learning. I see there's 17 people. If you can raise your hand. Is there anybody here from the Boise area? I can share that. I see 2, 3. Okay, so it might be worth it. Do you mind, Kendra, if I can just share my screen and share exactly what I'm talking about? I'm telling you, this is like the best tip I could share tonight, I hope. So I have here all prepared. If you go into the Boise Public Library, all you have to do is just search, okay? Search and go to digital resources. So Google Boise Public Library digital resources. Scroll down and you'll see a million resources that are available for free, including Libby, which is amazing, but that's not the point of today's thing. What I want to share with you is this right here, called LinkedIn Learning. This is so amazing, and a lot of people don't know about it, but it is free. So if you click on here, it takes you to here. It says Get Started. When you click Get Started, it'll take you to another page where you need your library card. That's why I asked if you're a resident of Boise, because you do need a library card and you need your PIN. But once you get in here and you get all that information, which I highly recommend, just email yourself the PIN and the library card so you have it accessible. Here you have access to so many things that are in industry, like super, you want to learn about project management, you go here and you put in Agile project management skills. It said 137 courses. Here's a advancing your skills in project management. There's 6-hour training right here. It was updated just recently here. This was updated a week ago. So they're very current, high level trainings. And this is my number one tip I give to everybody. Like, how do I stay up to speed? This is where I go to learn about Agile, about anything project management. If I'm stuck with my anything project management related, I go here. So there you go. That's what you can take tonight. Woohoo! That was my goal to share that tonight, and actually it shared. So there you go.
Yay. Well, and I
Yeah.
love that too, Sakina, because one thing I found, a lot of these courses, either Udemy or LinkedIn learning is great, but it's not always about gaining credentials, right? It's learning that language and the framework so I can articulate processes either with my team or my clients. It really helps me bring my experience into the different roles and kind of bring people along with me so they kind of understand the nuances and we can work together and stronger as well too. Sometimes I'll even take a course if I feel like it's a topic I've already learned. It's interesting to hear how somebody else explains it or describes it, and then it helps me be able to communicate that differently too.
Yes.
Mhm. We do have a question. Do LinkedIn learning courses count towards PDUs?
Yes. So at the end of those, and that's what I use also as a reason, it does give you a certificate or a credential. It used to have your name on it, now it doesn't, but you could populate that in your PMI as a PDU. And it
Mhm.
has the hours and everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I know. It's such a cool thing. And I can't believe, like, if you want to learn change management, go in there. If you want to learn how to stakeholder management or communication, go there. It's the
Mhm.
best.
I agree. I also spent a lot of time on LinkedIn learning, preparing for my exam, and they have like a full PMP prep course that
So good.
covers a lot. So it's a great resource. I see Joe also mentioned that you can access project bites with PMI if you are a member. So that's another great opportunity for just gaining resources and PDUs. And so
Love
yeah,
it.
just look for those. We are always marketing them within our emails. Um, Before we continue, is there any other resources besides LinkedIn Learning, Project Bites, PMI Zone, Lunch and Learns? Anything you've found useful as a resource to gather more industry trends, or did we cover all of them?
I think one piece too is to ask your company. A lot of companies offer different trainings and upskilling as well. And some companies will even pay for it because they want to see their employees continue to grow and, make their team better.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to add up one other one, only because I've gone through it. I didn't think of myself as a project manager, even though I was facilitating cross like management with teams and collaborations and initiatives. But I did actually qualify for a Google certification program through RISE, which partners with the Mom Project. So there are also a lot of organizations out there. If you don't have an employer that will sponsor that sort of certificate or upskill, or if you are someone who has maybe taken time off from projects and you're looking to kind of brush up and sharpen those skills, the Mom Project is great. Like I said, they have their RISE. I know there's a lot of other back to work study programs that are really trying to get moms specifically back into the workplace, but other individuals, there was a pretty big uptick during COVID of these programs coming to fruition. And I know a lot of them are still here to date to help people kind of jumpstart their career and get that certification to level up on resumes and job hunting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We appreciate that. I apologize to our panelists. I'm going to go a little rogue here. I realized that I wanted to check in with you and kind of ask about your or project management experience and kind of what got you into project management or within Project Management Institute. So if you could just share a little bit of your story so that our participants can get to know a little bit more of that side.
I'd be happy to start. So my project management journey started at Verizon. I was an analyst and did a lot of research and analysis on why customers were leaving, specifically on churn, customer experience, all of that. And so through that, I started getting involved I was part of a group on Black Belt Six Sigma project management, learning those skills. And it took off from there. I was very curious and learned a lot from that. And then I ended up having to leave Verizon. They did some adjustment with their shifting and offered me job in New Jersey, but I didn't want to move to New Jersey. So I looked at a local company here and it ended up at Western States Equipment. They are in Meridian. It's a heavy equipment Caterpillar dealer. And that's what took me there to do their ERP implementation. Then from there on, that's where I learned a lot about project management, got my PMP certification, and yeah, I went through the boot camp just like you did, Kendra, through the PMIWIC. It was fantastic. I learned a lot. I did a lot of studying at the library on my own too, and online, but it was fun. And then since then, I've had the opportunity to work at ACHD, like I mentioned. I went back to Western States, did help them upgrade their system, and then got recruited to go to Simplot as the IT project manager, and currently working in that space. But multiple different sectors within Western or Simplot. So I do IT project management, but with the, like I just worked with the LNL, our cattle management software. So that was kind of cool to learn all about cows and cattle and feeding and the health side of that. So yeah, that was fascinating. But yeah, that was my journey. It's been really fun, and we'll see where I go from there. So I'll pass it on to somebody else.
I can go next. So my project manager journey is a little bit more unique in the sense that I'm not actually a project manager. I'm a naturally curious person, and I've helped place hundreds of project managers over the years, technical and non-technical. And as soon as I started doing it, I wanted to dig in more the why, understand what are their projects like the day-to-day, and being organized in that sense. So I started learning more, started coming to PMI events, and just really sponging on that. But it's been over 4 years now of me really just developing and figuring out how I can help upskill the project managers we work with through the programs that I offer and things like that I offer through my company and things. So yeah, it's kind of a little short and sweet one about me.
I love that. Well, I'm similar to you, Meg, where my job title doesn't have project manager. I currently am head of operations for a consulting firm that was a startup. So I manage pretty much everything day to day, but I also am a fractional leader for a multitude of different other organizations throughout the United States. But with that, I wouldn't be successful if I didn't learn those project management skills. I kind of accidentally realized I had a superpower of project management because of that certification I mentioned earlier that I got through the RISE program. But it was so validating for me to find that and find the language and kind of find the art of project management. Being a type A individual, I was already kind of organized and structured that way in the terms of organizing spreadsheets, managing teams, asking a lot of questions so I could pull different individuals together and work more collaboratively. Didn't know that was project management. So I kind of accidentally found myself into this place of learning this new language and system and framework, and have now since taken it and really elevated my skill in terms of how much value I can bring. A lot of the components of project management is what I do in my consulting for the fractional leader and tracking initiatives moving forward, those teams internally I'm managing, and then reporting that to the CEOs as well. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your story and letting me divert our planned schedule. But I think it brings a good insight to everyone of just where you're coming from and the different experience that you have. And like you said, project management is a part of everything. And so whether you're planning on it or you get thrown into it, you just kind of have to learn as you go. So the next question I have for you is, what roles did mentorship play in your career advancement, and how can early career PMs find mentors?
Well, I think it's a lot easier than a lot of people think. Sometimes it's just a matter of coming to maybe some of these networking events and meeting individuals, seeing people who are, it doesn't even have to be super far ahead of you, even just a couple of steps ahead of you, can be a mentor. I think one of the beautiful things with that is it's humbling when you're asked, but then you also kind of get to bring people along and share your knowledge and not feel so alone. I know sometimes when you're in this type of role and have this type of mindset, it can feel like you're on an island, because a lot of people are just like, oh, not another spreadsheet I have to report up to, or a status report. So I don't know, I think there's a lot of, connection and community you can find, just simply reaching out and asking, for some support.
I completely agree, Savannah. It's about for me, I actually, when I was starting, I reached out to a lot of people and a lot of people within this PMI community. So definitely leverage that, connect. There's 18 people, 18 attendees. I really hope you all connect with each other via LinkedIn or somehow, so that way you could ask those questions. I still continue to ask questions. I think it's important to always leverage your mentors sideways, up, down, and I'm happy to help anybody. I meet with folks regularly. Just had a meeting last week with somebody that was really curious about project management. So very open to it. I had many people who helped me, so I'm very happy to pay it forward. The biggest thing I would recommend is come in with lots of questions. Specifically, what do you want to get out of that meeting that you're meeting with the mentor about? Last week when I met, the person was specifically interested in, they weren't interested in becoming a project manager, but they wanted to use tools that we use in project management in their HR role, and then maybe eventually transition into project management. And so they're looking for ways that they can use help guide, similar to what Savannah is saying. We use project management tools and techniques in everyday living, right? Like planning your vacation to running your business, that you might be not necessarily wearing a project management hat. It's applied everywhere. So it's going in with specific questions as far as, are you learning to, do you want to learn about, do you want to get your PMP? Do you want to understand what it's like to run a project? Are you stuck? So I meet with a lot of people if I have challenges on my project, whether it's with a stakeholder or something that we're kind of, there's a friction. I want to understand how to execute out of that. I'll reach out to my peers and talk through it, and oftentimes it works. So mentorship is all around us, and I would continue to just leverage this community that you have, and then just don't be afraid. Like Savannah saying, reach out to ask people. People are more than willing to help and be that mentor. Yep.
Yeah, it's also important to know too that your mentor is not the person you want to sugarcoat anything with. Your mentor is there to help you in your lows and celebrate you on your wins. I have a few mentors that I've kept for years, and it's so amazing to be able to do that and then be able to mentor others. And it's true, just like you said, people want to help you. People want to help others. It makes them feel good to help others and help the project management community grow.
I love that, Meg. I think if you don't sugarcoat it, that's really when your mentor can help push you out of your comfort zone. And I think having that safe place where you can share those vulnerabilities and be uncomfortable, that's really what helps you get to that next level.
Mm-hmm. So, follow-up question, have you participated in mentoring, whether you're a mentoree, mentor? I think all of you have said you have at this point. But what ways did it benefit your career, both in the mentee or mentor spot?
I can go first. It gave me a different way to look at things. When we look at a project or a way to get things done, sometimes you get pigeonholed and you don't know what other way to go, but having that mentor to give you a fresh set of eyes, a new direction, a new way to just see what the landscape is. That's what's helped me the most when I've had a mentor or when I'm helping someone else, because it might seem simple to them that's complicated to you.
I have been in both positions. One thing recently that's kind of been brought to my attention was the difference between mentoring and sponsorship as well too. So I don't think people fully know the difference between that. Mentorship is more that relationship that you're building and working on things together. And sponsorship is kind of a little bit more of an elevated role, where that sponsor is literally, bringing your name up in rooms that maybe you're not in yet, or opportunities that you might not have considered, and advocating for you in that way. Maybe even sometimes encouraging you to say yes to something you ultimately would have said no to without their borrowing that belief that they have in you. But in doing that, I think it's kind of contagious. I've had mentors where we start to question, okay, who's the mentor, who's the mentee? Sometimes even that relationship can evolve and go back and forth as well too. But I really just think being, making sure you're communicating needs, making sure, there's not too much expectation. There needs to be work and collaboration on both ends, so it doesn't end up lopsided and you don't lose that friendship or that connection as well too.
Yeah, and I know that PMI WIC has a mentorship program that is a great length of time, so you can connect with others. I think Cheryl's on here, but there's opportunities where they help guide individuals and connect them with other people, and that mentorship program is fantastic. I've gone through similar type of mentorship programs with Boise Young Professionals and other the chamber groups, and sometimes it is nice to. It's great to be in this program and do this. I would highly recommend it. But if you're looking for seeking even more, once you get beyond that, there are other organizations that you can do mentorship programs that kind of teach you about different ways of looking at things, other projects to be involved in the community, and so forth. But I love the idea, Savannah, of sponsorship. Really seek that out. Like, if I was you, I would write that down, Google it, and figure it out, because that, especially if you're mid-career or a little bit higher in your career, that's the difference between you getting that promotion and not getting that promotion, is somebody speaking up and saying Sakina should get that project, or Joe should get that project, and they're doing great at XYZ. They're ready for this level of leadership, and they're speaking that in the room. But I don't think people see the difference between mentorship and sponsorship, and we don't talk about it enough, and it's huge. So please write that down and circle it. Great thing to bring up.
And then I am seeing in the chat a little bit. So one thing we do want to mention is that, yes, we do have a mentorship program. We have it each quarter. We provided the link in the chat so that you have easy access to signing up. You can sign up to be a mentor and a mentee. And then one thing I did want to know and kind of ask as well is a lot of times we are in the need for people to sit in the mentor role. So I'm curious on your thoughts of, like, if you're sitting on the fence of whether you should be a mentor or not, like what would your advice be to someone who's not sure about stepping into that role?
I think brain's going too faster than my words are coming out. I think when you're considering being a mentor, I would say go for it. That's one of the biggest things that I experienced in my career, is if leadership is really a position you want to move into, and maybe you aren't given a manager role in your company or your project where you're leading and developing people underneath of you, mentorship is a really great way for you to get that leadership experience and kind of make it yourself, and have that ability to really kind of build that experience with giving feedback, receiving feedback, coaching, leveling people up, leveling yourself up. How do you help individuals close those skill gaps? And that's applicable not only to move into a manager role, but also, a project lead role with clients. So there's a lot of really great communication skills, those soft skills that are sometimes harder to develop from a web training or a certification class. Mentorship's a great way that you can really, practice those and see what's successful.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that helps.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's such a passion for me.
I agree. I think it's just, you've got to just dive in. go to that website and look up how to be a mentor. And there's like so many trainings for you. But I think the biggest thing is probably your own self-doubt that's standing in your way. And you have to realize that every person in here has something to be able to help somebody else through. And as a mentor, you gain just as much as the mentee. You're learning, both of you are learning at the same time. And so it's an excellent opportunity to be able to help develop somebody else and have them help you in that skill set with leadership. So it's an amazing opportunity, and great to jump in. But there are ways and tips and trainings out there to help develop you, so you could just stay ahead of them just a little bit and you'd be fine.
Thank you. And I do want to catch some of the questions that are going on in the chats, make sure we don't miss them. So I'm going to ask this question specifically to Sakina. But how hard is it to pass the PMP? And is there any social groups or mentor programs? We talked about the mentor programs, but
Yeah. Well, Kendra, you just went through. So
yeah.
it's tough. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is probably one of the hardest tests I've taken, and I actually took it twice. The first time I did not pass. I didn't think it would be as hard. I'm like a natural learner. I score really high on Clifton Strength as a learner, so I'm like, I got this, and I studied and I studied. But the way that they pose the questions are very tricky. It's if you've talked to other PMs, they talk about it like it's a beauty pageant. It's like 2 questions could be right. It's the most right of those, and that can get really tricky. And so I don't think it wasn't terrible that I had to take it again. I would highly recommend to not give up if you did fail the first time. It does suck to have to do it all over again, but it allowed me to be able to what I did is I didn't pass, and then I took 1 month and I just focused hard. When, like I said, I was at the library studying every night, and took it and passed it. Had that little celebration thing at the end. That was dramatic, but it is tough. But there's so much resources out there for you to be successful. You can study on your own. You can do just learning on YouTube, or just connect with others. Connect through other people through your boot camp that are going through it, and see if you can get together and learn that way too.
Mm-hmm.
What did you have a study group, or did you do your own, Kendra?
I did boot camp, and then there was a few of us who met afterwards to do a study group. My experience was a very long-winded experience where I applied last year for my exam and took the boot camp, and then got audited, which feels very scary in the moment, but it's all at random. You have to remember that.
Yeah.
And it took me maybe a week or 2 to get all those signatures from the people I put as a reference. Unfortunately, by the time I got my audit back and completed, and they said I was good to take the test, I was leaving to Vietnam to meet my husband's family for the first time. And so I was not able to take the exam until this September. So that's a year of putting it off, studying, getting married, all of the fun things that just get in the way. And I think like my biggest advice is like, make sure to prioritize it. Don't leave it to the last minute. I definitely felt the stress and the pressure of having my application near expiring. And I don't recommend that pressure. You don't want to add anything else to that. But as far as taking the exam, I'd like to echo, there's so many resources, so many great opportunities. I found that the boot camp was incredibly helpful for the terminology and the process, and really understanding the key terms and kind of opening your eyes to that. But I mean, I would say that like the exam focuses heavily on the mindset. And so watching those, the questions on YouTube, and kind of like learning about the mindset, which question is better, or I guess not what question, but what answer is better. And then, yeah, just making sure that you find the resources that work best for you. I found Reddit to be super helpful. But you know, it kind of depends on your learning style, but just don't put it off is my recommendation.
Yeah, and for all the folks that are on the call, like Harry, if you're interested and you haven't done it, but you haven't applied yet, this is a great opportunity to, as Kendra was mentioning, go and log all of your hours of all of the things that you've done. One of the most valuable things I got from PMI and just connecting with somebody was they shared their spreadsheet of how they tracked their hours and submitted their work. And that saved me a ton of time. So even if you don't have, you're not a project manager, you're wanting to be a PMP certified project manager, what you can do now is just go through and research the application and get ready and use the spreadsheet and log all of the information that Kendra is talking about, because there is a chance they'll audit and you want to have most current information, and you do have to qualify to take the test. So dig in, research it. It's and then yeah, there's lots of resources. There's tons of practice tests online that you can do, which I would recommend too. So
Mhm.
and just know so many people have tested and passed, so it's all good. You can do it too.
Mhm. And then there's another question that kind of relates. So it says, is there a place on PMI where real companies are looking for PMP certified members to get real world project management experiences, paid and unpaid? And I know we mentioned this, but you can volunteer as a chapter. As we mentioned, our professional development day is coming up, and that's a great opportunity to get that experience, especially if you're looking to try to get that project management experience that you need to test for or sit for the PMP. So we're always trying to offer opportunities where you can support a project or support an opportunity like that. And then I'm sure all of the panelists have opportunities or and point you in the direction with their organizations as far as getting involved and finding that right career.
Yeah, I would say I'm trying to understand that question. If you're looking for opportunities to build so that you could qualify for the PMP certification, just being on projects, track those, volunteer to be on projects in your organization. If you don't have those opportunities, volunteer. There's so much need for volunteers in the community to help with events and projects and log all of that stuff. And those are all real life examples that you can submit that you've helped out with. So you don't have to necessarily be the leader. You could be in a project and be one of the stakeholders and submit that information.
Perfect. And then there is one more question about mentorship program. It looks like from the website. Oh, do I need to finish my MBA for PMP qualifications? I don't believe so. I think it's just a bachelor's degree that changes the level or number of years of experience that you have.
Yep. All of those are all spelled out on the PMI website, but as far as what the requirements are, but I don't remember seeing an MBA, no.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. I guess we have one more question about the exams. Is CAPM also valuable to people who are early in their PMP journey who may not have as many hours or years of experience? I don't know if any of our panelists have gotten their CAPM, but I have talked to other professionals who have gotten their CAPM and they found it to be valuable. It kind of just depends. You'll find that you have more experience than you may know. So worksmithing and working with a mentor on developing that experience so that you can sit for the PMP is always beneficial. However, if you feel like you may not have that experience or can't sit for the PMP, I highly recommend a CAPM. And it's a good way to start learning about the terminology and the processes involved with project management. It's a great way to learn and experience, but then it also, I think, has benefits if you're looking to do the PMP later. So, alrighty. So what are the top transferable skills that help you transition between different industries or roles as a project manager?
I think for me, it doesn't necessarily matter the industry. Like I feel like a lot of the principles remain the same. You're always dealing with timelines, you're always dealing with budgets, you're always dealing with people and outcomes. So for me, I work cross industry. Like I don't really have one set industry that I'm specific to. It does help because I usually kind of know what the expected outcomes are or what the desired outcomes are. But one thing I find time and time again is it is all a lot of the data. A lot of times it's identifying the data and make sure the stakeholders understand and know what those goals and objectives are, and then making sure that's being communicated properly. So really, those skills like communication, problem solving, leadership really are that foundation. At least that's been my experience. I don't know, Sakina, and Meg, I'd love your insight, but that's kind of what I've had in my past.
Yeah, I would agree. There's so many transferable skills from leading projects, leadership. You mentioned stakeholder management is huge. You've got to be able to build relationships with your team and keep them happy, and know how to leverage different stakeholders, and who can help you with what. Communication, the more clarity the better. You're presenting constantly, you're facilitating every single meeting, so that's an incredible skill that is needed all over the world with many things. Constant problem solving. Today we ran into an issue with one of my projects, and it's bringing people together and seeing different angles and how do you solve that. I would say some of the other ones are risk management. As a project manager, you have to be able to see what challenges lay ahead well before your team. So right now I'm stressing a lot about my project and getting ahead of Thanksgiving timeline. It's stressing me out. I'm like, come on, we need to go faster today. Every single day matters, because I know when it gets closer to Thanksgiving, everything shuts down and then we're going to lose a lot of time. So that kind of stuff, time management, ensuring that everything is delivered on time, and you're the one that's beating the drum constantly to move things forward, and understand the prioritization as far as I'm going to let off the gas here, but I'm going to increase it here. And so that those are huge skills to be able to transfer in many other areas. Absolutely. Ooh, thanks for that clap. I love the engagement we're having tonight. This is fantastic. Good job.
I thought that was great. I thought that was great. I totally agree with you. And I mean, number one transferable skills are those soft skills. So don't forget how organized you are, the different areas you bring, and all projects have stakeholders and things that go with that. And so just don't forget that piece. And a lot of the technologies are still the same within different industries. So a lot of that doesn't change.
Thank you. So I guess this one, I'm very curious, Meg, what you have to say, since you're coming from the recruiter slash that kind of side of things. But what qualities are you looking for when hiring a project manager beyond technical skills?
Yeah, I think probably number one thing I think I look for is a project manager that knows when to stand firm, because it's key to be able to hit those deadlines. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to be bend and flexible. So that person needs to be a strong leader that's effectively led a team before. That always stands out. A natural problem solver, someone that is good at negotiating and handling conflict, because I'm sure as many of you project managers know on this call that conflict does happen and deadlines are missed at times. And if you're able to get that back on track and be able to hold those soft skills where you're kind about it, but yet efficient and firm, it really gets you there. So that's a lot of what I like when I meet a project manager that knows how to stand firm like an oak tree and bend with the wind when needed. Those are my absolute favorite project managers.
Yeah, and I think empathy, Meg, if you agree, plays a huge role in that, especially when you're managing teams with different personalities and strengths, right? I have to read this quote. I have it on my screen because I knew I would mess it up on cue. But I always like to tell a lot of my stakeholders that it's not just about getting the job done; it's about how you get it done and how well you bring people along with you on that journey. I think it's so much more than just that underlying deliverable, but like connecting all of those pieces together as well too.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me it's it's the people skills that's been my strength, maybe because I just like people and I use that superpower cape. But I find it's incredible when I'm trying to manage something via email, how fast you could try to manage behind a computer, but if I can find a way to either pick up the phone or Teams call them or step by their office or desk, how much faster we can move forward with a challenge or a deliverable. So for me, it's building that connection, figuring out the strengths and weaknesses within my team right away. So the roles and responsibilities piece is really critical to establish in the beginning. But in order to be able to do that, you have to have some people skills. In the ERP project that I help lead with Western States, there was a vendor project there needed to be a vendor project manager. We went through 3 different project managers on the vendor side until we found the right one. And it was mostly because they just couldn't communicate well, or they would come in and they would just sit behind their desk and not connect with anybody. And you can't get things done unless you know your team or can take the time to connect with them. And when we finally found the person that was able to communicate, get to know the team, figure those things out, and understand the architecture, of course, that helped us quite a bit. But I would say the people skills is super critical in this role, and being able to work with people effectively.
Yeah, that's really great insight. So I guess, can you provide insight on how project managers can stand out when applying for roles, and especially in this highly competitive market?
I think Sakina just demonstrated it really great. When you're applying for roles, really focusing on the storytelling with your experience, focusing on how your skills and qualifications aren't just boxes you've checked, right? But really tools that you've used to make that impact. So storytelling goes a really long way. I know this might be bad, so some people might not agree with this, so I apologize, but a lot of times resumes are so focused on percentages, which it does show impact, it does show growth and development, but really when you're getting to have those conversations, you're talking with the hiring manager, really helping tell the story of experiences and how you've solved problems and bridged those gaps are going to be huge, because they're going to be able to picture you in that role, solving those problems for them, bringing them in. Also personal branding is important, I believe, as well too. Getting on social media, sharing knowledge, sharing insight. Sakina also touched on this earlier. Following LinkedIn professionals who are demonstrating expertise and passion, but also relevant information that they're coming up that could help and benefit others as well too. So those are my 2 takes, and I love Meg's input and Sakina's too. So
Yeah. If I can piggyback on the networking piece, I think that's super, super critical. how you stand out. They're getting so many resumes right now, and how you're going to stand out is who you know. And so if I was a person in this call and I was looking for a project management role, I would be messaging Meg right now and connecting with her on LinkedIn. That's what she does for a living. So sorry, Meg. I hope that's okay. But honestly, like connecting with the folks, being active. You can't just be on, on LinkedIn and not be doing anything. Be in there, be engaged, show your personality, who you are. That I'm a testament of that. I don't know how, somehow at some point through some conference, probably I connected with an HR person at Simplot. They were already in my log of people, and I'm active on LinkedIn. And so they reached out to me. That's how I got my role that I have right now. And prior to that, it was somebody I knew at ACHD that I connected with and said, hey, I'm looking for a project management type of role in construction. And she said, you should do this. And so it's about who you know, absolutely 1000%. And then you've got to be prepared and kick butt when you go to the interview and be ready, right? It's not like, of course, it's who you know, but you've got to prepare yourself as well. So networking, you should connect with everybody anytime. I hope I get some LinkedIn message connections after this, and then just ask for help. But yeah, it's utilizing your network. If you're looking for a job, are you following the companies you're interested in, and are you following up on what they're doing? Are you engaged in their? You don't want to be obnoxious. You want to be smart about it. But to Savannah's point, what is your brand? How does it speak to those people when you do say something on LinkedIn? What is your persona? All of that, but it's about who you know, and then just sharing to other people what you're looking for. If you don't ask people that this is what I'm interested in, nobody knows, right? So if you're interested in project management, that's what you want to do. Find the people, let them know. They'll remember you, and a great role opens up, especially if you made a good impression. So
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's just that there's a fine balance of tailoring your resume and networking. It is so important. I know we all work so hard to make our resumes look good and keep improving it, but how well does that resume match up to the job you're applying for? It's so important to tailor to it, because that's the one piece they're seeing of you if they haven't already talked to you yet. And just networking, I cannot emphasize this enough too, how important it is. Message someone if they work for the company. It's likely really a lot easier than you think for them to connect you to a recruiter or the hiring manager at that company. If you only have a second connection to someone to get through, put yourself out there, message them on LinkedIn. You will get a no if you don't ask. So that's just my piece I want to add to that, how important that is.
Mhm.
If you don't mind,
we're so
go ahead.
excited. This is our
No, I
favorite.
know. Go ahead.
One more tip that I would recommend everybody do: if you are passionate about a job, you see it, ask the person who's hiring or a recruiter for an informational meeting. It is amazing how many people do not do this, and it is the easiest way to learn everything about the job. And I have had 0 times where they've said no. Every time they were like, yep, totally, 15-20 minutes, go in prepared, ask lots of questions. Now you have 1,000 more advantages to somebody that's just meeting them on the day of the interview, right? So go in, ask. It works so well. Informational interview, find the right person. But I can't emphasize enough, when you go to that informational interview, don't just show up. Come in with your list of questions, be fully prepared as if it's a full interview. So if you need help with that, definitely reach out to me. I can help be your interviewee or help you with questions so that you're prepared. It's one of my favorite things to do. Savannah, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. Well, I have 2 things. And also research the company. There's a lot you can find from the company's social media or the leaders that are there, the articles they're posting, their websites. But a funny story that also backs up everything that Sakina just said about networking. you never know also when someone may think about you for a position or a role that maybe you might not have even considered. I'm living testament of that. One time at a baby shower, Sakina actually recommended me for a board position. I've now been there for 3 years. So sometimes there's opportunities that your network and connections and just people knowing who you are, your character, what you bring to the table can open doors that you might not have known to knock on as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd like to reiterate some of the things that you've said. From my own personal experience, I had somebody tell me that, like, more than the resume or creating or a good interview and having the experience, they're looking for somebody that they want to work with. So the more you can put yourself out there and get to know people, whether it's those networking opportunities, connecting with your community, or having an informational interview, or posting on LinkedIn and having that personal brand, you're showing your personality. And that's really what's gonna, like, the resume gets you through the door, but at the end of the day, they're only gonna hire the people they want to work with. So you got to show them who you are and what your personality is. So, and that's a huge way to set yourself apart, I think, is just being who you are. Perfect. Well, those were all of our formal questions. Oh, wait, we have one more formal question. But I did want to tap into some of the questions that we had in the chat first. So I think we had one question about Agile Scrum, and whether that's a good certificate. I'd just like to reiterate some of the things that Karen and Dana said about just the certificate. I would say just anything that's in your toolbox. Really consider about, like, where you want to be in your career and what makes the most sense. I wouldn't just go and get a bunch of certificates to have them under your belt, but really look at what your hiring managers are looking for, and if they work in the Scrum mindset, or if they work in Agile, then I would pursue it. And
Yeah, I
then
I know a lot of, not to cut
Go
you
ahead.
off, Kendra, but I know from my position hiring a lot in especially like technology space or project management space, they want to know that you don't just have that certification, but how you've used that certification and how you've applied that to projects and how you've actually seen it through as well too. So
yeah,
don't, oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I thought you were, go ahead, finish up.
No, you're fine.
With the Agile Scrum, I just had a thought. I know we're shifting a little bit from waterfall, traditional project management. There's an appetite for Agile, especially in technology. As Savannah was saying, it's how you apply it, but it is helpful to have that knowledge. I know at Simplot we are. There are segments of our business that are interested in doing Scrum, so it is helpful for those project managers that have that desire and want to do that. But the other piece is, if you do want to get into that space and you're interested maybe doing a product owner type of role, Agile is a really good tool to have for that. And understanding how basically the difference between that and a traditional project management. It is advantageous, but understand where what the company is using and what methodology that they're that brings value to their PMO team or organization. So
Mhm. Perfect. And then the other question we have in the chat is, what type of challenges do you face as project managers? And would you mind sharing one of the hard projects you've had to do, or conflicts that you've had, and how you resolved it?
I don't think we have any challenges in project management whatsoever. Sorry, that's my funny insight. Yeah, I can share. I think one of the first as far as challenges that comes to mind, one of the first projects that I had at Simplot was one where it ended up that the solution we were going to go with was not going to work for the organization, and so we had to like completely kill the project. And and that was very tough. Now it's easy to talk about it. At the time, that was very challenging, and to navigate that conversation, especially since they had spent years on this and money and resources. But we knew we got to a point where we hit the wall, and we were trying many different things, and it just wasn't working. The solution that we selected wasn't going to communicate well enough with the current software that we have and we've customized the heck out of. So we just, in those cases, it's really, really important that you have a strong steerco or steering committee where you can take these kind of challenges and issues. We do a very good job Simplot to have that kind of a board that can help us maneuver and be aware of these kind of challenges where they're that big. And ultimately, the decision is not, it's not the project manager's decision, it's the business. You just, as a project manager, you bring all of the scenarios and what's happening and all of the voices of the team, and then ask them, and they can help you with that. So the decision ends up being from the business. That was probably one of my toughest ones, and it took a lot of hard work and emotions and challenges to get to that point, but it was the right decision for the business. I'm really glad we did that. And there were still some stakeholders that didn't believe that that was the right decision. But ultimately, it wasn't me making the decision, and I think that's the benefit of a project manager. If you execute correctly, it's not you making this decision, and nor should you take the fault for it or feel responsible, like if you do your very best, you know what I mean? So those are the conversation I had with myself to kind of be like, I'm okay, everything's okay, this is not because I didn't do my very best, or that's what it takes. But yeah, have a strong steering committee, a team that can help you with those tough conversations. I hope that helped with a specific example. Yeah.
Meg, did you want to jump in?
No, I feel like you handled that super well.
Oh, that's great. I know for myself, I had a pretty challenging project where I had a CEO come to me needing help with a bonus policy. As I started probing and asking questions, I found out that they not only didn't have a bonus strategy or a compensation strategy, they didn't have performance management. And then as I peeled back those layers, I found out they didn't even have alignment on roles and responsibilities. So, the roles and responsibilities that the managers were expecting the job to be implemented on didn't align with the roles that the HR manager was posting on the job board. So very quickly, I was realizing the amount of moving pieces and parts and stakeholders that I had involved that I needed to put into place to build out the roles and responsibilities, get that alignment, get the support from the managers to roll out performance management and share what that means. My biggest win, I think, was just being collaborative, being curious, asking questions, and also kind of shifting a little bit of that responsibility onto the HR manager and those middle managers, helping them see the value in what we were trying to do, not just implement something they had to adapt and change how they were running, but really showing that the alignment with those different components strengthen their teams, which ultimately strengthen the performance of their own projects. So sometimes it is a little bit of that, what's in it for me, taking that into consideration, knowing different levels of those project roles or the support that you need kind of needs a little bit of different story being told, or they have their own, wants and needs, how you blend that together as well too, to keep that moving forward. It's that change management aspect, that communication, the showing the results as well too. So once we showed the performance results as well as what the burden was on all those projects getting closed, the managers are like, why didn't we do this sooner? So that's always a big win when everyone can feel that relief and that empowerment too.
Mhm. Thank you. So I have one more question, and we'll kind of keep it quick since we're almost at time. But how do you see AI influencing the recruitment process as well as just project management in general?
Yeah, I can. Oh,
No, but go ahead. You're probably going to say what I was going to say because I was going to echo something you said earlier. So go for it.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that there's like controversy within AI, but so many companies are already using AI in their applicant tracking systems. But one really positive it can have is it's going to have a huge effect on bias reduction piece in the recruiting process when we're going through resumes and adding to it. But this is just another piece where it's so crucial for your resume to match the job you're applying for, especially with the AI piece. So you want to make sure that you're hitting those notes, using the words that are used in the job description and pieces like that. I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, you nailed it. That's kind of the angle I was gonna, you just said it so much more eloquently than I did, or I was going to.
Thank you. And also one other piece too, it'll help the process move along faster. It'll help interviews get set up quicker, get availability, things like that. So there are so many benefits to it. I know that some people feel uneasy about it, but from my point of view and my experience so far, it's been pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say just getting comfortable with the tools, instead of fearing it, embracing it and seeing how it can help you. Whether you're applying for a job and it can help you tailor your resume a little bit more. It doesn't mean that you just let that tool do everything. You still need to be able to touch that and make it, customize it yourself to your tone. But from a project management perspective, we use AI. It's been fantastic. I use Teams and record all my meetings, and then we have an AI note that outputs all of our just gives me an update of what happened in the meeting and what are the action items and things like that in my teams. And that helps me a ton of time so that when I'm facilitating my team meetings, I'm not focused on taking notes. I can actually pay attention, ask questions, ask great follow-up questions, and facilitate and spend the time on that instead of worrying about making sure I capture that, because I know it's all being dictated for me afterwards. So a Copilot is a really great tool for that we utilize. And then I think it's just learning it. I know there's a lot of people that are like, how is this going to apply? You can go and set up a very basic template on ChatGPT very easily for project management. So it'll be interesting to see how our softwares will evolve. But I think it's just going to cut a lot more admin time. That's how I see it, and then I can focus more on my projects and making sure that they're delivered on time and focus more on my team than the mundane tasks. So that's how I'm using it, at least.
To piggyback off what Sakina said, is AI, I think is definitely changing a lot of things, and that creates fear in people, or even that, do I have job security sometimes because the system can do it faster, better than I can individually as an admin. But I do think like the human skills, that we've talked about time and time again, communication, empathy, leadership, that's always in demand. And that's not something that I feel AI can fully do away with. So, upskilling, networking, connecting, all of those things we've said over and over again are going to be that edge that keeps you ahead of that, while also learning and leveraging how to close some of those gaps.
Thank you for your thoughts. We have about 3 minutes left. So if each of you could give like a 1 minute or less, like last thoughts on connecting with careers or advice that you have for the group, we'd love to hear from each of you.
Yeah, I can go first. I think just the one piece I would really love for you to take away from this is how important networking is and putting yourself out there. I got this job I have now through doing volunteer work, and I still do the same volunteer work. I sit on a board for now where I used to volunteer, and networking in Boise is so crucial for you to help find your next role and your next opportunity. I'll drop my email in the chat too, but also connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to help any of you find your next opportunity, whether it's right now or in the future. Don't be afraid to reach out. I'm really good about managing my LinkedIn messages too, if you guys reach out to me on there as well. But I appreciated your time today.
Yeah, so same. I I echo the value of networking. I would say polish up your LinkedIn, especially if you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on there. Make sure that you set it up so that you're proud of what people see when they go in. And if you need help with that, make sure you can, have your peers help or have us help or whatever. Reach out to other people. But I think it's connecting with your community. This is an incredibly rewarding position. Don't be afraid to branch out and try different types of project management. That would be my advice. And know that you can do it. You've got a lot of the core competencies that you possess in the current role you have, so that you can try other things. But yeah, reach out. This is an awesome opportunity. This is an amazing organization. I've learned a lot over the years here. Happy that I'm re-engaging more. And please reach out and then ask if you need help, or if there's anything I can help with. I'm happy to connect with you. So thanks for your time and good job showing up tonight.
Yes. Yes. Well, and if I can add anything else, because I mean, Meg and Sakina nailed it all, but just keep showing up. Show up for yourself, show up for your team, show up for your clients. That's really the difference maker. So thank you guys for coming and listening.
Thank you so much. And we want to thank our panelists so much for sharing their expertise and their experiences, and just getting on the call at a late evening to share with us their amazing insights. So we really appreciate their time, as well as the participants who are on the call and just wanting to learn more about how they can connect with their career. We greatly appreciate everybody spending the time. And like I said, we have a lot of great resources on the PMIWIC website. And so if you're looking for volunteer opportunities, you're looking to get a part of that mentorship program, or you're looking to start your journey on your PMP or CAPM or any of the other certificates, we're here to help, and we have an amazing board who really wants to support you in your career journey. And we hope to see you at our next events. Like we mentioned, we have a couple of in-person events coming up. So just look for those in your email. And then I've put up on the screen how you can get your PDU for today. So go ahead and follow that link and report your PDU so that you can claim it and have more opportunities to connect. So if you do have any questions or want to connect with the panelists, you can also email anybody from the board and we can get you that information. And I know Meg dropped her email in the chat as well. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.